What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Perfect Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ray Molina, and this is episode 86. Before we jump off into the story, please make sure to check out the website at raymolina.com. Also, please follow me on Instagram at It's Ray Molina. That is also my TikTok. If you'd like to follow the podcast on Instagram, it's at the Perfect Mess Pod. On YouTube, it's at the Perfect Mess Pod as well. Please go there and subscribe. If you're on Apple, Spotify, whatever it is, please subscribe, follow, leave a review, comment, all of that. And that's that. So this is an episode called Story Time, and this is something that I think I want to start doing. You know, I have the long version of my podcast that I do. Then I have the kind of direct in your face, let's talk about it, that I do as well. That's, pretty direct to the point, usually between 15 and 30 minutes. And then I have my 90 seconds of inspiration. What I want to bring to you now is something called Story Time. And it's actually spawned from last night because I was debating, how do I tell this story and not keep it too long and not turn the podcast into something that's super lengthy, but share a story with you from my life that happened, and just keep you guys interested. So last night, Thanksgiving was 2 days ago. So we had Thanksgiving at my aunt's house, which is in Elk Grove, California, out by Sacramento. And this year is the first year that we celebrated the holidays without my grandfather. My grandmother passed away in 2016, and she was like the glue to the family. You know, every time she put out the bat signal, everybody would show up at the house. All the family would show up at the house. And when she passed, it kind of, I can't even say it drained the family, I feel. And I'm not the only one that feels like that. The family didn't feel as close as it once was. And we did our best to try to keep that together while my grandfather was alive. And then my grandfather passed away this year in January. So that was another blow. Both of them were to natural causes, old age, man. But it's losing your grandparents is never easy, especially if you're as close to them as I was. So this year was the first year that we didn't have both of them. And it was, speaking for myself, and I know I can speak for my aunt, it was hard. It was difficult. And I couldn't help but be overwhelmed in the morning when I knew I was going to be heading out to my aunt's to spend Thanksgiving with them. Like I told you guys, I don't have a whole lot of family out here that I'm very, very close to. So that is kind of like my home base. And I just was overwhelmed in the morning because I hadn't been to their place since January when my grandfather passed. So anyways, me and my kids, we make our way out there, and we spend holidays out there. We spend holidays together in Elk Grove. But we made our way out there, and got to see a couple of my cousins and hang out and have some good dinner and watch a little football and catch up. My family loves to talk. We're very loud. We're very you could confuse us for arguing if you walked into the house in the middle of a conversation. Even my younger cousins were just very loud, very animated when we talk. We're very into politics. We're very into military. We're very into anything that's going on in the world, and we have an opinion about everything. So if you come from a family like that, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I brought my grandfather's helmet, because I wanted him to be represented at the dinner table that night. And my cousin, who's a Ranger, and if you know anything about the Rangers, they are absolute savages. Uh, but he was a Ranger. He was in Afghanistan, a couple of tours, and he taught me about putting a plate of salt at the table with the lemon slice that symbolizes a POW MIA, missing persons. It symbolizes and represents them at the table. And he says that this is what they do. This is a tradition. So he taught me that, which I will cherish for the rest of my life. So we were able to represent my grandfather that day, not only by doing that, but also placing his helmet at the head of the table. And it was, it was awesome. I needed that. It felt great. I said grace. For some reason, anytime I'm at a holiday, I always seem to get picked to do grace, which I'm not complaining about. I actually am honored to do that. So I said grace. We had dinner, had some wine, and just got to hang out. My my cousins got to hang out with my two sons and game and talk and all that. It was good. It was good. I needed it. But that is not the story. I just wanted to catch you guys up with my holiday. But this story leads into what happened with me last night. Now, if you are watching, or excuse me, if you are looking at the cover of this podcast uh, on Spotify, I don't think Apple shows the random covers that I do. But if you're seeing this online and you also see the cover on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see that there is a cap, a hat, sitting on a seat, and it's a Marine Corps hat, um, and that is the back seat of my car. And I took that picture last night because of the story that I'm about to tell you. I'm gonna try and keep it brief, and I'm trying not to get emotional. A lot of you know how close I was to my grandfather. A lot of you know that I tried to go to the Marine Corps when I was 19, and I was denied because of my history of asthma. And that was a very, very hard time for me in my life because I was trying to follow in my grandfather's footsteps, my family's footsteps. My dad was in the Marine Corps, my uncles, my grandfather, you name it. Just had armed services people in my family for, gosh, across the board. I mean, I had, like I said, I had Rangers. I even had some Army cousins. I've had Air Force, Navy. I mean, there was so many people in my family that were in the armed forces, but the majority were Marines. So I was trying to go to the Marine Corps. Anyway, uh, last night, and this hasn't happened to me in a very long time. Last night I was working. Okay. I like to do deliveries at night, especially during the holidays, because it's good to have some extra money coming in for the holidays so you're not breaking yourself and running up your credit card, you know what I mean? So last night I was working. I decided to go out. I'm gonna do some deliveries, make some extra money. And I haven't been pulled over in a very long time. And last night uh, I got pulled over. Now, it's not uncommon to be pulled over at night in East San Jose, where I'm from. It's a very rough part of town, and if you are driving around that town at night, there's a good opportunity that you're going to get pulled over, or they're going to pull up, flash a light at you, and kind of see what you're up to. It just happens. It's just the way it goes down over here. But I haven't been pulled over in a very long time. And so last night I was driving. I was on a delivery, and I passed a policeman uh, going through a green light, but he was sitting at a red light. And as I passed him, he hit the turn real quick, and he flashed me. And I was like, "Well, that's odd." Hmm. I was like, "I know I didn't run a red light or a yellow light, but okay." So I pulled into a super lit gas station, um, and it's funny because in light of everything that's gone on with the police over the last few years and all these protests and whatnot, the one thing that I told myself when I pulled over is, make sure that you make this officer feel comfortable as he's walking up. I have tinted windows on my truck, so it's hard to see in my car. But the one thing I kept telling myself is make sure that they don't feel threatened when they walk up to your car. So keep your lights on, turn your music off, roll your windows down, keep your hands on the steering wheel. It's what I always do. It's what I tell my kids. So I did that. And as they pull up, I could hear him say, "Can you please roll down your windows?" And I was already in the process of doing that, so I did. And then I see backup come. So there was a second cop that pulls up, and I'm like, damn, is this going to be one of the things, one of those instances where they say you fit the description? Because I'm like, starting to get a little concerned. So now I have two cops with their lights on me, and there's kind of people at the gas station looking at me. And the cop walks up. As he's walking up, he says, "Can you do me a favor and roll down your back window?" He's like, "I just want to make sure nobody pops out on me." I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I roll him down. I put my hands back on my steering wheel. And he walks up on me and he says, "How's it going, Mr. Molina?" Or didn't say Mr. Molina. I hadn't given my ID yet. So he says, "How's it going?" I said, "Great. How you doing tonight?" He says, "Good." He goes, "What are you up to tonight?" I said, "Oh, I'm working." He's like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Were you in the Marine Corps?" Which was an odd question because the minute he asked that, I started thinking, I don't have a Marine Corps sticker on my truck. I have an American flag on the back. I'm not wearing a Marine Corps hat from my grandfather. I wonder why he would ask me that. And I said, no, I wasn't. My grandfather was, my dad was, pretty much my whole family. And he says, he goes, "You come from a long line of military men, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "I respect that." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Got your license?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Grab my license, I give it to him. And he goes, "Okay, Mr. Molina." He goes, "Everything checks out. You'll be on your way." I said, "All right." He walks away. This whole time I'm thinking, why would this guy ask me if I was in the Marine Corps? Like, so specific. Why would he ask me, "Are you in the Marine Corps?" Another cop walks up on the side of me. This is another cop. Now he's looking in. He's like, "How you doing tonight?" I'm like, "Good." And he goes, "You working?" I said, "Yeah, I'm working." He goes, "Cool. How's everything going?" And I said, he goes, "Is it busy?" I go, "Yeah, it's busy." I go, "How about you guys?" He goes, "It's kind of a slow night." And I go, I go, "All right." And he goes, "Were you a boxer?" I said, No, because I have some boxing gloves hanging from my rearview mirror. And I said, "No, my uncle was. My uncle's Louis Molina." I go, "He was a championship fighter, and he was in the '56 Olympics for the United States." He goes, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No." I go, "My family, pretty well known out here." I go, "My grandfather was also a boxer in the Marine Corps." He goes, "All right, man, that's cool." I said, "Right on." He goes, "All right." He goes, "Just sit tight." And I'm like, "All right." So he's just standing there, and the cop walks up from the driver's side, comes back, and he goes, "All right, man, everything checked out." He goes, "Thanks for being cool." He goes, "Hey, you have a great night. Take care of yourself, all right?" He goes, "I hope you had a good Thanksgiving." I said, "You too." I said, "Merry Christmas." "All right, you too." And they all get in their cars, turn their lights off, and I roll my window up. And I can't help but think, like, why did they ask me about the military? Why did they ask me that? And why was that the smoothest police stop I've ever had in my life? I've been pulled over a lot of times since I was a kid to now. And I'm like, why was that so smooth? And why would they be asking me about the Marine Corps? So it was bothering me. So I pulled over. I got out of the, I drove out of the gas station, and the uh, next parking lot was like a Mexican restaurant. I pulled in there, and I got out of my car, and I opened my back door, and I didn't realize that my grandfather's hat was sitting on my back seat, facing the window. I had taken everything out of my car from when I stayed the night at my family's. My bag, my duffel bag that had my grandfather's helmet, all my clothes to change, everything. I had taken all that stuff out. And my grandfather's hat must have fell off my bag because I had it sitting on top of my bag. And I stood there staring at it. And when I tell you I got so overwhelmed because all I heard was, "I got you, Bill. I got you." I broke down so hard, man. I started crying because I felt him. I felt him. I can't explain how much I felt. I felt him in my bones. I felt him in my spirit. I just felt him so much. And I leaned up against my car, and I hadn't cried that hard probably since my divorce. I could not stop crying, man. It wasn't just like a simple, I know I'm crying right now, but it wasn't a simple cry. Like I felt it in my chest. I was weeping, man. Because at that moment, I knew he was with me. I knew that he was telling me, "It's okay. I got you. I'm still looking out for you." I have no idea why that hat was still there. I'm very in tune with my spiritual side. I'm very in tune with God. I'm very in tune with the signs. I always tell you guys that, and I know a lot of people don't pay attention to stuff like that, and some people may be listening or watching saying, you're trying to tie or connect the dots to make everything seem like that. And he's like, and I'm telling you, so many times things like this have happened in my life, and I am not just connecting the dots to connect the dots. I'm literally telling you that I know because of what I feel in that moment. I felt it so much when I saw his hat back there, and I realized I've never had a cop tell me to roll down my back windows. I've had four-door cars pretty much my whole life. I have never had a cop tell me, "Hey, roll down all your windows." And that was the first time that's happened. And so when he did that, I thought it was odd. So him asking me to do that, I know now that he looked in my back seat and saw that hat. And then for him to say, "Oh, you come from a long line of military men." And I said, "Yeah." He was either in the military previously, probably had family that was in the military as well. And the fact that I had these gloves up on my rearview mirror, and the guy asked about me boxing, and I explained to him about my uncle. There were so many factors in that police stop, in that traffic stop, that just had me wondering, what is going on? I can't explain to you guys, man. When I tell you it was the smoothest traffic stop I've ever had in my life, it left me, I don't know. I couldn't explain. I was like, why was that so smooth? Why were they so nice to me? Why were they so polite? Why were they? And I know why now. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Um, I don't know if you believe, and if you do, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't believe that there are spirits and people looking out for you who love you, and you don't, maybe you don't believe in God, or you're not sure because God's never shown you anything. I think you just need to pay attention when things happen, and always, always go into situations like I went into last night with a positive attitude. The old me would have been pulled over and been upset. I was the classic, why'd you pull me over? I didn't do anything. That was the old me. And the person that I've become is I've approached everything with a lot more respect when it comes to authority and people in a position like that. Uh, because if I show respect and they give me respect, and that's cool. If they give me respect, I show them respect back. And that's how I've been living my life. And that was something that my grandfather taught me. And he said, you know, so many times I've tried to teach this to your uncle, to your dad, and it just failed. It fell on deaf ears. I don't want that to happen to you, because I don't want nothing to happen to you because you decided to be a hard ass. I'm very thankful for my grandfather. I'm very thankful that I had the time that I had with him, and I'm very thankful that my kids got to meet him and spend time with him and understand that I am the way I am because of him. And if he's out there listening, I want you to know, Grandpa, I love you. I miss you. And I appreciate the hell out of you. And thank you for looking out for me and keeping me safe. I love you guys, man. And I hope you enjoy that story. And I hope you, if it hits you, you share it. Um, and help me grow this thing, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for continuing to support everything I'm doing here on the podcast. All right. Please subscribe, follow, um, comment, review, all of that. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. I love you guys. My website is raymolina.com. Again, my Instagram and TikTok is at It's Ray Molina. And the Instagram for the podcast is at The Perfect Mess Pod. YouTube is at The Perfect Mess Pod. All right? And I'll close it like this. Like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it's a mess. But for me, it is the perfect mess. I love you. God bless.